It's Monday, the 17th of November, 2025. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. Significant storm threats on the way. I don't mean that in an alarming way, but a couple big areas we're going to be watching. One in the Mediterranean that is going to build back toward the Balkans. In the short term, we have one system about to move in, but a second one could be even bigger, watching southeastern sections of Europe back toward Italy. That is spot number one, and I want to show you the water temperatures playing to that. Spot number two, what's going to happen out here is high pressure here filtering around this. It looks like there could be some sort of storm system, maybe a named system, maybe not, but developing in the central Atlantic and then eventually going around this area of high pressure and lifting either up closer to the Iberian Peninsula or up toward Ireland and the UK. That is the second spot. I want to cover both areas in depth in this video. So thank you for your patience. If I have to put out additional updates, if you're subscribed, you'll get those notifications. So it's going to be busy, especially toward the end of the week. Now, short term, I'm going to zoom down, but we've got a lot of action around, right? There's a few areas that we've been watching. Of course, the aggressive weather, as I've been covering in the prior videos, back toward Portugal in particular, parts of Spain. But jumping ahead here, this is by Thursday, starting wide, and then we'll zoom down. This is what's going on. We've got a couple spots here, right? And then another spot here with some energy, France, Spain, that is going to work its way into the Mediterranean. And watch what happens here. By the time we get into Friday, the buildup of rain, Austria, Italy, south, watching that. And then we swing here. One piece works in right here, but here's that other area in the central Atlantic. I'm not quite sure how this is going to evolve yet because it's several days away, but it is a spot to watch, no doubt, as we move forward. Then by Saturday, look at that spin developing right near Italy. That'll work its way toward the Balkans, giving you a heads up. We're going to zoom down into southeastern Europe in just a second. Here's that other area coming out of the UK, Norway, Denmark, back through the Netherlands. And then watching this piece here, this is the one that we're going to be watching by the weekend. So one system here in the Mediterranean, and then this second area here, a little piece up to the north of it. I'm not sure yet if we're going to kind of have two systems or even one stronger one. But this is what we'll be watching deep into the upcoming weekend, into next week, because if this kind of gets its act together, it could be a big wind maker. We'll be watching that, and a big rain maker as well, in potentially a named system. We'll wait and see, but I do this channel to give you the heads up in these certain areas that we're watching, again, across the Mediterranean, and then keeping an eye on a new spin trying to develop in the Atlantic. Now, here's the closer look. We'll start here first, and then I'll lift to the north. So watch what happens here. Working our way out in time. This is tomorrow into our Tuesday. Here's that moisture building back toward Italy, Bosnia South, Albania. Better chance of getting some of that rain. And then as we pull forward here, this is by the time we get into Wednesday, that one system drifting a little bit even closer to Greece, coming out of Montenegro, clipping by Albania. Watching this moisture here, though, through France, right? Higher terrain, of course, getting some snow. By Thursday, right near parts of France, Spain, Andorra, some of that rain starts to build. And look what happens here. This starts to build. Look at all of this energy again building in the Mediterranean, some rain. And what's going to happen here is it's going to feed off the warm water temperatures, a little bit of a spin developing. We'll watch this carefully. This could bring some aggressive weather to parts of Italy. By the time we hit Saturday, water spouts, isolated tornado risk, some heavier rain as this spin moves in, gustier winds, and then this works its way again back toward the Balkans, where we can see on the south side of this, heavier thunderstorms, a flood threat. North side, higher terrain, watching out for some of the snow. So this is one system we are going to be watching very carefully throughout the week, in particular late week into the weekend, and then into early next week. Then we watch this here. Now, this is something we've been watching for a whole. I want to see how this kind of feeds into that, right? This here, the water temperatures, they are running a little bit above average. The warm water this time of year coming out of summer, right, into autumn, the water temperatures are still warm. So it'll be interesting to see how this kind of plays into that because these water temperatures should feed that system. That's why it's not only going to be rain, but we're going to see this kind of spin develop here, which could make it a stronger system as it works across Italy back toward the Balkans. So that is something we'll be watching. Now, let's lift to the north, right? Taking you through some of the showers. We've been seeing that. Parts of Poland, South Czechia, we've had some showers clipping by. Now, we've got one little system diving down here. This is tomorrow. watching out for some showery weather, of course, colder air wrapping in on the backside of it. Belgium, France, you see some of the rain back through the Netherlands coming out of Wales over toward England on our Wednesday. Now, this is Wednesday. Cold air kind of intruding from the north, some snow showers with it. Then we work deeper into the week, and that's when we're really going to keep an eye on what's going on in the Atlantic. Again, I mentioned what's going on down to the south, but here's one little piece starting to work in. This is by late on Friday. The potential for some heavier rain, some gusty winds at times. Classic system for this time of year rolling in. As we work our way into Friday night, Saturday morning, we could have some heavier rain working across Ireland and the UK. This is by the time we hit midday Saturday, building back toward Norway, Sweden, eventually Denmark, the Netherlands, Belgium, and then we'll see how this system that I mentioned in the Atlantic kind of evolves. Does it head toward Iberia, or do we get a bigger system that'll build its way back toward Ireland and the UK? Still a wait and see on that. Now, taking a look at some of the rain totals over about the next 3 to 4 days, and you can see some spots dry, other with that showery weather, right? Some spots dry, others getting over 25 millimeters of some rain. This is some of the energy we'll watch. That first system, that first area of energy, bringing some rain. Look at Montenegro, Albania. We could have some spots over 150 millimeters of rain, pushing 20 centimeters of rain. That's going to be a possibility. And then we'll see again by the weekend that next system. So again, this is only over the next few days. We're going to have back-to-back systems, and that second one coming out of this region could actually be stronger. Of course, some of these high rain totals, if you're on the higher elevation, north side of systems, we're actually dealing with some of the snow, as we well know. Watching that as we build back toward Norway. Again, Iceland seeing some of that snow in some spots. If you get some rain catching Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania with a few spots that may clip about 50 millimeters of rain. Same thing, Russia. Belarus should be a little bit less. Ukraine, Poland, back through Germany, but watching these pockets in here, that could be a touch heavier. Of course, here's that current snowpack we're dealing with, and we've seen this over the last 1 to 2 weeks, sinking more and more to the south, and we'll see that trend, especially with these systems that a couple of them in the Mediterranean, they will, although those stay south, they yank down some of that colder air, hence some of the increased snow in some spots. So this storm pattern looks to get more aggressive. Again, around that area of high pressure, we could have that Atlantic spin forming. We'll see how that approaches, where it heads, how it evolves this weekend, and watching Italy and the Balkans. One system moving in early to midweek, and another one that could develop and be even stronger by the time we get into the weekend. Plus, what I've been doing behind the scenes, kind of putting together the December outlook. So as you're subscribed to this channel, I'll have that information as well in some upcoming videos to put out with you. So thank you for being part of this weather community over the next few days. Throw in your location, your weather, maybe if you got quiet weather, cold weather, whatever it is, let us know. If you're dealing with some of the flooding, we'll be monitoring that together. I'll be watching the comments, and we'll see how things evolve. More of that aggressive storm pattern late week into the upcoming weekend, into the next working week. Thank you for joining me. Be safe. Have a good rest of your day.